What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about some pretty big Sly Cooper rumors. If these are real, these are gigantic, and actually some of them even contradict each other, which maybe, which is slightly alarming to me. I actually didn't see it when I first saw this tweet. So this comes from Kawaki, and I've never heard of this person before in my life on Twitter, but Special Nick, who we've talked about before, right? He's the guy who is the one who has started all of the Sly Cooper stuff. He was brought into it because somebody quote tweeted the original guy and said, "Hey, Special Nick, is this true?" So let's read what the original post is, because it's got some stuff we've already heard, but it's actually got some new stuff even on top of it, which makes it very, very interesting to me. So he has 3 different points. Number 1, it's definitely in development and started very early, summer 2021. So it literally just started this past summer. A likely tease can happen at State of Play or mid 2022. It's supposedly called Sly Cooper 5 and is on next gen. Unsure about current gen. And then his final thing, it's actually a reply to himself, it's a thread, and he says there's also been talks on completely rebooting the franchise and making more Sly Cooper games. So again, this was brought to Special Nick, and he said points 1 and 2 I had already mentioned, and that's kind of true. Let's just read it. Point 3, I don't know, haven't heard anything. So, one thing I do want to say, right? I feel like you guys come to me for like honest truths, for me to call out things if necessary, for me to just say kind of what's on my mind. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not the reason why you come, partially. But a couple things I do want to say. This first guy is a little off here and there. And then Special Nick also, I feel like, forgot what he has said as well. So point 1, it's definitely in development. It started very early, summer 2021. So the first part is what Special Nick said, but he never said it started this summer. So I don't know why he said, and it's Twitter, it's short form writing. He can't do a full essay explanation, but he never said it started in the summer of 2021. So, does that matter? No, not really. It's actually a little bit, if that is true, which I do think it's probably true. That's pretty crazy that it literally just started, like a couple months ago. I did the interview with the voice of Sly Cooper back, maybe in June or July, and then maybe like right after that, they started Sly 5. So pretty funny timing overall, but honestly, and remember, by the way, I was the first to suggest that Sumo Digital was my prediction for the pick of the studio. They could be working on it. Then everybody else made videos saying the same thing, not saying anything, but Sumo Digital did just finish Sackboy, A Big Adventure, last November it came out. Then you'd have to imagine they spent maybe 6-7 months doing some sort of planning as to what to do next. I really think that studio continues to line up, even actually with this kind of compounded onto it, that they just started, this past summer, just a few months ago. A likely tease can happen at State of Play or mid 2022. Again, the mid 2022 is something that Special Nick said. Now let's just really, again, to cut all the BS out of it, let's be real. If they were to announce this, I don't think there'd be a better time than to do it next September. That's the anniversary of the original Sly Cooper. So you'd be pretty stupid to do it really any other time. Now, if you have it to announce, I'm not going to stop you. Announce Sly 5 whenever, but I just feel like, and is September mid or is it late? I consider it late in the year, but maybe some people have different definitions. And again, a thing, I want to believe this guy, by the way, but the thing is, like, it can happen at a State of Play or mid 2022. So you're saying like a place, and then you're saying like a huge area of time, and neither of which are specific. A State of Play. Well, what State of Play? When State of Play? Who, what, why, what are you talking about? And then mid 2022, well, that's a huge, is it a State of Play in mid 2022? It can't be, because he said or. So I don't really like the way this guy typed all this stuff out, but again, it's not really about that. It's supposedly called Sly Cooper 5 and is on next gen. Unsure about current gen. Now, let me just throw this out here. This is something that's always annoyed me. When a new generation comes out, it is then considered the current gen. So PS5, Series S and X is the current gen. Next gen would be PS6 and the next Xbox. So it's last gen for PS4. I think that should just be common definition by now. Yeah, you could say it's only a year after, but it's out. It's out. So it's literally the current generation that we're living in. So I've never liked that. But I really would imagine if they started it this past summer, like 3 months ago, there's 0% chance it comes out on PS4. And why should it? And who would actually want it on PS4? That would be some of the stuff I said. Now, again, to call out the confusion that I think is going on, why is Special Nick saying point 3? I don't know. Haven't heard anything. The only time somebody told him it was called Sly 5, he reported on it as Sly 5, not as a Sly remaster, not as a reboot, but Sly 5. Now, we've talked about the ambiguous nature of that he could have just assumed that, or the person could have just assumed that and said, it's the next Sly Cooper game, so you just attach that next number on, so Sly 5. But for him to say he's never heard anything, and he's literally the one, in the very first time he ever mentioned that Sly is returning, he said Sly 5. So I don't understand that whatsoever. People have to keep track of what they said, especially when you're a leaker and you're like putting out, this kind of information. You gotta remember what you said in the past. And then the additional thing, really, to me, kind of blows up the entire idea of this first, leaker. There's also been talks on completely rebooting the franchise and making more Sly Cooper games. So you say it's Sly 5. But then you say, well, there's also a chance that it's not Sly 5. Well, wouldn't they know? If they've been, I don't care how long they've been working on it, right? 2 days, 5 weeks, 3 months. If you're working on it, whether it's a, like the next game in the story, or you completely reboot it. I feel like that would be a big story. I also, again, I'm violently opposed to that idea, very much so. I think it's a very stupid idea. Now, 4 did mess things up. There has been such a big length of time. I get it. I understand it. Even in movies, you could imagine this is the point where they do that very soft reboot where they bring in, to try to hand the torch down. It's different for games, though, and it's especially different for a game called Sly Cooper because, it's Sly Cooper. It's him. You can't pass the torch to anybody else. You know what I mean? So they're in a little bit of a different situation, but this is probably the point that you would do a soft reboot because 4 came so far after 3 and was a disappointment, and then 5 is coming so far after 4, and 4 lost interest in a lot of people. That, do you ignore 4, pretend it didn't happen? I don't think you can. If you do it, chronologically, I think you have to acknowledge it, but you probably want to move into your own thing, try to establish your own trilogy. Literally, just imagine what a movie would do. I think it's honestly pretty close. So, I understand why you would do a reboot. I do. I don't want it at all. I think that would be a stupid idea. But you can't have both. And again, I don't really understand. So here's the thing. I think comic book games or something, they wrote a story on this. I don't know who this guy is. He says he's a streamer, an anime lover. He loves a lot of things, which is fine. I think he plays basketball. He's 23 years old. He has a YouTube channel that's not active. If you click on his YouTube link, it takes you to a blank page. So he's got 400 followers on Twitter. So I don't know how he knows this stuff unless he is just rewording what Special Nick has said before and adding new things and pretending to be a leaker, which is definitely possible. So I guess I'll say that I don't, going in, I actually really felt good about it. But now when I'm reading it, it's well, the summer thing is right. Obviously, I think it's probably going to be announced maybe in that August, September, October point next year. But he's way too open. You know what I mean? It's not very specific. And then it's called Sly 5, but then it also could be a reboot. So you cannot have both. You have to pick. So I don't really know if you know what you're talking about there. And then the whole next gen, current gen thing, I think that's a thing that a lot of people do. I'm just really annoyed with it. It's not really his fault. So yeah, I don't know. And then Special Nick comes in and says, the first 2 things are true, but he's never heard of Sly Cooper 5, even though he started it saying it was Sly Cooper 5. So the whole thing is very, very messy. Bottom line is, we're getting a new Sly game. It's probably going to be announced next September, and it's either going to be, at this point, I feel like it's either going to, well, actually, there's 3. Sly 5, Sly Reboot, a new game, Sly 1 again, or a remaster. And I guess I'll take any. I don't want the reboot, but if it happens, I don't know. I guess we have to really talk about that when it happens. I would not be in support of that, but I guess I would see it through, see what they could do, but I would not be happy with that whatsoever. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all of these videos go up. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, if you ever see anything and want to send it to me, my Twitter handle is podcastnow15. The link's in the description, along with my second YouTube channel if you guys want to subscribe there. We also have Patreon and YouTube memberships if you guys want to support us financially. All of those, again, are in the description. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.